G'day, g'day, g'day. It's Mathematical KM, their initials, not a title. Bringing you round 5 of the Tugg Along Weekender, playing the hippo with the white pieces. And here's a little bit of a image just for... Yep, that's the hippo wielding a clock. It's not the only factor, but we will give you some timings throughout the game. Here we go. Let's firstly, 75 points down, 1468. My opponent is 1503, so not 75, so that would be 35 points. So a little bit uphill, but relatively close. Let's see how we went. Starting with the kingside fianchetto, black's taking the middle. Let's go with the queen pawn. Let's get the other fianchetto. If you've been watching these, you pretty much know the first 10 moves. As long as, black can change the order in which you play them, like getting a battery makes the H pawn go there and then. Let's get this up. We can see what move we're up to. Bishop comes out. Let's stop that one from coming in. Okay, yeah, I know knight to e2 would be completing the hippo, but he's jumped forward, so we'll Lego lock it up in the middle. And there we are, the full thick-skinned hippo. Now, depending on your local meta, the local crowd you're playing with, and how familiar they are with the hippopotamus defence, coming to move 11, I have got an hour and 2 minutes. I've gained 2 minutes, and my opponent's clock is 40 minutes. So, if I was to offer you, how would you like to start your game of chess with this position, and you've got 62 minutes, and your opponent's only got 40? The eval does say plus 1.5 to black, but I think us hippo players know that that's pretty typical until black launches its attack. They've got all the space, but that is subject to change. Okay, so there's a lashing out with Harry the H pawn, to go with Simon Williams' naming. If H3 is played, then G4 will be played by me. Again, Lego locking it up. But for now, he's given me the chance to, and when you've got like this, you don't want to move the C pawn, and you want to go with the F flank pawn. Could have gone the B pawn forward with tempo, but decided against it, just in case I end up going queenside castling and just keeping it a little bit more tighter knit there. Okay, because there's a lot of stuff aimed at that kingside, so we may end up castling queenside or not castling at all. And so we go. He has got only the one pawn attacking my F pawn, and I've got G pawn and the knight. So 2 defenders, he's only got the one attacker. What's defending his E pawn? We've got a knight and a pawn. So he moves his G pawn forward. You might notice that already, you might say, Keith, it's -0.5. Just remember, a few seconds ago it was -1.5 and nobody had died. Still, nobody has died. No blood has been taken. If he takes me, the knight coming in, hassling the bishop, bit of pressure on that. If he takes me, I don't really want to go forward. He's got 4 pieces on that square. Let's leave that for my opponent, and for now, let's go and move the B pawn and take that opportunity to ask that bishop to move. He moves back. Up to move 14. Just by way of the clock, I told you I'd give you recaps. Move 14, I've got 51 minutes. My opponent has 26. So he's not really sure how to deal with this river horse. Okay. That's not a bad idea. I had dreams of getting this pawn to here and trapping that bishop, but that's not going to happen anymore. He's given his bishop some escape room back there. Now, what am I doing here? Why am I moving my queen? Well, I'm imagining that's a possibility. It's just another piece defending this pawn and this pawn. And I would like to get perhaps move the A pawn forward and then the B pawn. Basically a pawn storm on the side of the board where his king is, and getting the queen out of the way to join my rooks. I'm going to move the queen. It does some usefulness there, and probably instead of castling my king, king's probably safer here, looking at what's in front. So let's see how that all works out. Okay, he's moved his queen forward, so we don't have the battery on this one. So I could actually castle, but normal castling wasn't possible while he had the battery coming in on that one. But nevertheless, I'm thinking about getting the bishop out of the way and having the rook and the queen. He's got two pieces threatening that pawn. So to move this pawn, I need two other pieces. I'm thinking the queen and the rook, which means I've got to move the bishop. That's an interesting move. Note that we are back to a 0 eval from, it was what, 1.5 to black? Notice there hasn't been any first blood yet. Up to move 16. Okay. So, yeah, nice move with your bishop, but you can go back. I was just toying with, wouldn't it be funny? I've never done it before. Didn't say it out loud, but the offer is kind of there. I thought a 20-move game that was a draw from repetition with no captures. I don't know if it'd be a record, but I'd be up for having that in a FIDE-rated game and having my name on it. But be interesting to even try and work out if you can find out if that has happened. But he doesn't repeat anyway. He's probably seeing the pawns coming on the queen side and deciding to try and get his king out of dodge. Now you'll notice for me, it's suggesting castling, but I'm going to get that rook back there so that the bishop can't come in and play silly again. He's getting rooks lined up against mine. There's my version of castling. The rooks are connected and the king's forward. I think that was potentially not a smart move because, again, his bishop is looking trappable if I can get that pawn to there. It's a thought. At the moment, I only have... He's still got two pieces on this pawn. So to move that pawn forward, I need more than just the queen. So I think I'm trying to arrange that. Now when I move the bishop, I'll have a rook and a queen. He's doubling up there, but it's making that bishop, it's looking like it's really not going to have anywhere to go. Because very hard to move that. Hard to move that with that there. And that's no good. and that's where I'll be putting a pawn. So that's sort of like, can I catch the bishop, is a bit of what I was thinking here at the time. We are coming up towards a little bit of a momentary lapse, which we recover from. What move are we up to? Move 21. So it's a fairly even plus 1.5 to me now on the eval with human players, but I think I've got definite plans and pawn pushes, and I think I've got half an idea what I'm trying to do. I don't think black really has at this point. And move 21. I have 40 minutes on my clock, and he's down to 13 minutes. Okay, so let's go. Got my 2 rooks lined up with the 2 pawns ready to go. The king's not really there anymore, but it still looks to be a place to break through. Okay, with that 2 rooks and a bishop and a knight all on a5. I am not taking a5 with that pawn and letting the black horde in. So instead, and I believe it was called a great move by the computer, I thought it wasn't the hardest one to find. And that knight, where's it going to go? I think the computer suggestion is a little bit silly in the sense that its only other choice is silver side, which, I'd take it with a pawn, and then I'd have 2 pieces, he'd have 2 pieces. No, that would be very silly. So that's the only place to go. And it goes. Let's slide my pawn forward. That's locked it up there. Now it's pretty much reroute an attack on the king side whilst keeping my king safe, if at all possible. Change of plan. But initially we had a little bit of a rush of blood, and I was really not sure. Maybe it's going the exchange up while you're behind a Maginot line. When there's a big Maginot line of pawns, aren't bishops better than rooks? Anyway, it's certainly more locked up over there. He does have 2 rooks, but for a little while, keep an eye on that one. I don't think it really gets to do very much. But no, the computer doesn't like swapping a rook for a bishop. But removing a bishop does, and it was the light bishop, and most of my pawns are on the light squares. So in a funny old way, it's actually solidified my Maginot line of pawns. And now I can try and come through to my own tune. So we'll see how that goes. And I'm up to move 26. Clock's 36 minutes for me, 11 for my opponent. Okay, figured that was coming, lining up on my queen. Just in terms of thinking about trying to bring stuff back around to the king side to get through, I'm already thinking ahead. That could become important. Okay, right. How do I plug this up? It's not possible right now, but we lovely to put a knight there, wouldn't it? It would be a really sweet place to keep the queen and the bishop and everybody else out. And put a bit more pressure over here and here as well. So let's see how I go about that. There we go. If he wants to go down both of his bishops, this is his one chance to get rid of his bishop, going a bishop for a knight. He doesn't. He does play a pawn forward. I don't want to let him smash. Again, I want to keep a nice, solid wall over here. Don't want to let him take here. And the thing to do Gee, I'm not sure about going there and just letting his queen take it. I thought, let's just take that one with check. He brings in a knight. My move. Study your World War One history. Maginot Line in place. Now we're going to try and break through over on the king side. Time check, move 30. Again, it helps to have a plan. Move 30. Sorry, I've got 34 minutes at move 30, and my opponent has got 7 on his clock. And we'll see how we go. I am down the exchange, but you've got to look at how useful the pieces are. And I've got a fair amount of firepower aimed over here, and the pawns as well. So let's see if we can put it together. Okay, he's doubling up, but triple if you want. I've got 2 pawns protecting that knight. So major pieces threatening the knight's not the way to go. Maybe that might have been a better try. But for now, let's keep that one still. Now, bishop here, a check, skewering the king onto a rook is all lovely, but what if he blocks by pawn forward? Doesn't quite work. I don't want to move these pawns. So right now, that's not really the go. So let's, number one, as much as moving the knight does anything else, queen is lining up on that H pawn. He's moving his king out of the way, so the skewer's not going to happen. Up to move 32. I've got 30 minutes, he's got 5. Okay, so bring the knight here. He could try and get in with his knight. So now's the time. And I'm thinking that if he did move his knight in with check, I'd be taking with the bishop and then moving my knight out of the way. Might have been the best thing. But up to move 34. And this is where the clock is a bit of an advantage. I can have a think, and it's harder for my opponent. Move 34, I've got 25 minutes on the clock. My opponent's got 4. And yeah, he better do something about that as well. Which, the knight in there would do. But very human, he's moved his rook out of the path of the bishop. Now I've got 2 pieces lined up on here in case the knight does come in, which will, get rid of a piece and a pawn and be a bit of a breakthrough there. And if I can get this pawn to move, then the queen can nail this one. Bit of a plan. I want to move the only defender of the target, and as well as catching a pawn, if I can get my queen into the position, I think I can do some damage. So he's moved his knight back. Now let's see. If he doesn't move that defender, well, I'll take it. He moves it forward. Let's grab and get the queen in. He gets a pawn because he can. Let's grab a second pawn. So it's a reasonably open path. I've got a open file here, and I'm already putting some pressure on the back of the pawn chain. What move are we up to? 38, keeping me up on the time. 20 minutes and 60 seconds. From now on, I'll be giving you the number of seconds that black's got left. Okay, he's moved his king away, doubling up the pressure on this pawn. And right, currently, the king moving away took the only protector away. It was just the king. He would need to, by moving one piece, get two protectors, and that's not going to happen. The rook isn't a protector at all. So we take with the knight, also focusing on a nice little spot here. The knight moves, the rook will be pinned to the king, and both the knight and the queen will be on that rook. Move 40, he's got 41 seconds, and I've got 19 minutes. Okay, looking, he could swap off a knight. I don't know that he's too keen on doing these things, but I have pinned the rook to the king, and I've got the queen and the knight on it. That gives him, the queen can, 3 protectors off that rook, but in terms of, I was down the exchange earlier, I could get the exchange back, but how is the material? Material's actually pretty even at the moment. I was also looking at the moment, if I move the queen, the rook can move. So let's make that pin a little more solid. And we've got a bishop and the queen pinning it. You know the situation's dire when the computer's telling you to sack your queen for a knight and still have your rook pinned after that's happened. There is mate in 23 on the site. When that's starting to happen, that's interesting. What I could see, but I couldn't quite work out how to make it work, was if my queen comes here, that's the only square the king's got, and there's no blocking. But I couldn't quite work out how to get this knight here without the rook can't take it, but his other knight spoils the fun. Otherwise I could be setting up a net and going for mate there. But you've got to remember the clock's definitely on my side here, as well as, just being up +9. And coming into move 42, I've got 17 minutes, he's got 45 seconds. It is plus 30 seconds a move, do remember that. Okay. Giving himself 4, he's going overboard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces protecting that rook. So I've gone, let's just get that up the exchange. Whatever he takes with is going to be pinned to the king. Move 43. 14 minutes to me, 50 seconds to him. So he's playing, in his 30 seconds. I decided to move my king over here. If I can get my king somewhere where it can help, then I was thinking I'll bring my rook across and help out. But he's coming in with his bishop. The king being on a light square is not bad, but I can tell he's probably thinking about how he's going to get his queen back here to harass my king. Now, one nice thing is that the knight's got that square covered. If his queen just came the one square, then the bishop's got to move somewhere out, maybe queen here first, then bishop protected by the queen to here, and then queen to here. It's maybe possible if I leave him alone, but let's see. Right now there is the threat on that rook, but let's just protect the pawn that his queen would have been able to take if he snuck his queen in there. And you're just on pawn minding duties for now, and we'll just play the rest of the game with what we've got. Probably get a pawn all the way through if we need to. Okay, so move 45, 11 minutes to 45 seconds. You got to attack for sure. I did note immediately that that knight was the only protector other than the queen of this pawn here. And I have played check. He's got two choices. Were he to come here, then I can go check again with this knight, and and the attack goes on. Maybe getting if he goes there, from potentially complicating the situation, might win. It's mate in 16. That knight with the bishops on it, it's still pinned to the king. But anyway, so let's go. He did move here. And at this stage, with complicating things, I'm up plus 9.6. The queen potentially could be a problem if it got in. But I was thinking, grab another pawn. So I've got 3 pawns that I can try and push and get something through. His pawns are pretty much held up. If he moves his queen out of the way, then he can't move it. Well, really, he hasn't got very many choices. He's got to go and swap the queens, and I have a knight here. And actually, that was the final move with 11 minutes for me and 0 seconds, one with the clock. But let's just have a little bit of a... Didn't actually get to happen. Yeah, that makes more sense, except I would be probably just taking that straight off with a swap. I did think a little bit about if his king went there, I'd be straight back. You're trying to get it around, but plus 6, and with those pawns going on the way through, it was always uphill when he wasn't quite sure about what was going on with the hippo, and chalk up another one for the water horse. So good game and uphill with Elo. So got to be happy with that. Bye for now.